Hi, I'm Rachel with Shades of Blue Interiors, and if you saw my previous video, I showed you how to chalk or how to paint a piece of furniture using chalk paint. So we have this piece already painted with 2 coats of pure white, and now I'm ready to distress it and wax it. So I have 2 types of sandpaper here. I have a 400 grit, which I love because that gives you a really smooth, buttery finish. And I have a 220 grit. And I'm using these 2 because I don't want this piece super distressed. I just want it on the edges. So I am only using these finer grit sandpapers. I'm gonna start out using the 400 and just really smooth out the surface so it's rid of any bumps. Once I have the entire thing sanded with the 400, I'm gonna go with 220 since it's a little bit coarser grit, and I'm gonna just hit the edges. And if you are new to distressing furniture, think about the way this piece is used. Think about the places it would naturally show wear and paint coming off. Don't sand in like the middle of the top of the table or in the middle of a flat area, because it doesn't really make logical sense, and it's easier to make it look really bad. And so I would say think about the history of the piece, think about the way it was used, think about the way it's going to be used in the future from now, or how the look you're creating, and rub off the paint in those areas especially, so that it looks like more authentic instead of contrived. So I hit the edges like so, and you do it on the entire piece. And once it's all distressed, then you wipe it down with a washcloth, and then I'll show you how to wax it. And in case you're enjoying this light show of flashlight activity, that's my daughter. Hello, I'm back. I'm about to show you guys how to use clear wax as a top coat for a piece of furniture. And yesterday I showed painting this, how to paint it in my other video, and in just the previous segment I showed how to distress this in a natural way. I did it very mild distressing, not heavy distressing. So now we're gonna learn how to clear wax. But before we get started with that, jump into that right away, I just wanna go over why clear wax is a really great option, or really the best option for chalk paint. Annie Sloan designed her chalk paint to go with the clear wax as a top coat. And the reason why is chalk paint is a porous paint. So it absorbs the wax when you put it on top, and then you wipe off the excess. So what happens is the paint and the wax become one cohesive unit instead of 2 separate. So then it becomes more durable in the long run. It is the only top coat that you can, by buffing it, you can get varying levels of shine. So, you know, areas that are handled more, you can buff it so that it'll be shinier than, you know, the sides or something. And that makes it really authentic when you're thinking about, creating a really timeless, aged look when you have that option. Okay, so I think we're ready to get started, and the tools that you need are Annie Sloan soft wax. I think also what's really helpful and what conserves wax a lot is getting a good quality wax brush, but this is not required. You could use a rag. If you use a rag, you're gonna want a separate rag to wipe off excess. So a rag, a brush, a wax, and you're ready to go. Okay, and I'm gonna I'm gonna zoom in close so you can kind of see what you're supposed to do. Okay, the correct amount, that much. You don't want more than that, and that's because if you start out with too much, it just wastes a lot. So just start out with a little. And you want to work in small sections. If you work in too big of an area and then try to wipe it all off, some places will dry a little bit more, and then it'll be harder to wipe off the excess, and then it'll get kind of tacky, and that's where a lot of people make mistakes, I think. So with pure white, it's harder to see the difference. So I have another piece I'm working on that is with French linen, and you can kind of see the difference a little bit better. But a lot of wax stays on the brush, and occasionally you'll see like some hairs and stuff. So I go with circular motions and kind of work in the light so you can see where you're working. So I've done this little section right here. It's hard to see in the camera. But anyway, I've done this little area, and then I'm gonna wipe it. And that's it. Like when I touch it, my hand isn't catching on anything. It's completely smooth. And that is how it's supposed to feel, like immediately. It's supposed to feel dry. If it feels tacky, you need to wipe off more. If by chance you've let it dry too long and there's excess on there, you can get a paper bag and buff it, or you can get cheesecloth or some really absorbent rag or something, and just keep wiping until it feels smooth. It is not supposed to feel tacky. That's how you know you have too much. So that's that. Okay, so I promised I would show you how to wax then distress. So I'm going to do that on this one, and then also you can kind of see better with this color when you wax what it looks like. Okay, and I actually have enough on the brush I could do the rest of it, but I'm just going to go ahead and wipe this section off. I'm doing the other side now. And then I'm gonna get my sandpaper. I'm gonna distress the edges. Okay, so it created a lot less dust than the other way. And then I just go over the areas that I distressed one more time. Oops, there we go. That is how you wax then distress. So I've showed both ways, both work. It's just your preference. So ta-da, it's done. I generally tell people give it about 3 weeks until it's completely cured, and you can still use it, just be a little bit gentle with it. And other than that, it's pretty much one of the easiest ways to apply topical that you don't like get super messy. You don't have to worry about brush strokes. You can apply it with a rag. If something gets marred or nicked and you want to touch up an area, you don't have to strip the whole thing and start over. You can just touch up a small area and wax over it, and it's virtually not noticeable. So that is another thing I love about clear wax, and I hope this video was helpful in some way. If you have any further questions or comments that I didn't answer, feel free to comment in the post below, and have a great day.